The executive director of the Institute of Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, says President Akufo-Addo must speak out against the ongoing attacks on state institutions and installations by perceived sympathizers of the governing party, NPP. He believes that the president's voice is key in curbing the nationwide canker. Dr. Akwete also believes the police must be seen taking action on the situation. He's been speaking with Joy News' Matilda Wemega. But before we bring you that interview, let's update you on the latest in the alleged takeovers following yesterday's attacks on caterers in Edra, Setre Dumasi in the Ashanti region. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection says it is the only mandated authority to, quote, abrogate, suspend, or call for reconsideration of caterers' contracts on the Ghana school feeding program. A statement signed by Kwesi Amo-Hempson, who is Chief Director at the Gender Ministry, was released this afternoon, and I'll read to you content of that particular release. Here is how it goes. It's headed Ghana school feeding caterers. The attention of the ministry has been drawn to pockets of attacks against caterers of the school feeding program in some areas in the country. We're also aware that some individuals are instructing caterers to discontinue catering services they are providing to some Ghana school feeding program beneficiary schools. We, and in this case I'm talking about the ministry, on this note would want the general public to note that the only authority mandated to abrogate, suspend or call for reconsideration of caterers' contracts on the GSFP, that's the Ghana School Feeding Program, is the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection through the Ghana School Feeding Program. As part of plans to expand the beneficiaries on the GSFP to 1.3 million, the program will be recruiting new caterers. Adverts will be placed in various media for this purpose. All caterers interested in providing services on the GSFP are directed to their district assembly offices to pick up application forms and apply accordingly. As part of the recruitment process, successful applicants will undergo medical screening and training to ensure that persons identified deliver safe and quality services to beneficiaries on the program. And then they provide a contact there to Alhaji Siba Alpha, who is PRO for the GSFP. And that release, like I said earlier, is signed off by Mr. Kwesi Amo-Hempson, who is Chief Director at the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. Of course, we do know that the Gender Minister is no more at post, and so the Chief Director is acting at this point. But let me bring in the police on this. Now, the police is mandated to protect citizens. How much have they done, or how much are they doing about the situation? I'm talking about the alleged takeovers across the country. ASP Cephas Arthur, who is PRO for the Ghana Police Command, says that commanders have been given an ultimatum to provide an action plan and update on how they are dealing with this situation. Here is a conversation that he had with my colleague Hannah Odami. That interview was granted in the morning yesterday.
Arrest alone and prosecution alone do not prevent crime from going on.
Okay. But are you on the ground at Agbebulushi?
Yes, we are on the ground.
Are you there? Since when?
Oh, we've been there since the aftermath of the declaration, and when some skirmishes reared its ugly heads. Or its ugly head. And so we are on the ground. That is why we are saying that being on the ground is not just being visible there alone.
The residents there told our reporter that they are expecting some arrests to be made because according to them, the perpetrators of the act in 2009 are still walking about freely. And they think that at least something must be done about it. They are saying that until that is done, there's going to be a reprisal attack.
Yes.
Have you heard about that? Because being on the ground means that you're taking preventive measures so that it doesn't happen.
Of course, when anybody commits any act of criminality, the person must be brought before book. And that's why I said that there is a committee. And when there is a committee taking care of the situation there, they are not only there to prevent the recurrence of any skirmishes. They are also there to ensure that what has gone on before is addressed, so that nothing starts again today and we don't record more instances tomorrow. So I can assure you that the matter will be dealt with before long.
And we will not see any skirmishes or violence acts in Agbogbloshie.
That is our hope. That is our objective. Maybe, even if we hear about it again, it will be about 100 years later.
So yesterday, that interview was granted by ASP Sifasata yesterday in the morning. Well, by evening, the Greater Accra Regional Police provided updates on some arrests that have been made so far. ASP Efia Tenge speaks for the Greater Accra Police, and this is what happened yesterday.
The police news conference appears to be a direct response to criticisms that it has failed to act to stem the wave of attacks. The Accra Region Command says the 5 suspects were picked up Thursday morning.
The Accra Regional Police Command has arrested 5 suspects by name. Musa Muhib, he is 25 years and a scrap dealer. Issa Haku Suleimana, also 32 years. Abdullah Mohammed, 41. Adam Mahama, 39 years, and Suleimana Isahaku, 32 years. They are all scrap dealers. This morning, at about 10:30 a.m., the police arrested these suspects at Accra CMB and Makala Market for preventing revenue collectors of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly from issuing toll tickets to traders. In the process, the suspects allegedly seized toll tickets, assaulted the AMA revenue collectors, and collected cash the sum of 2,000 Ghana cedis from them.
In a related development, the Amasaman police has also arrested the constituency chairman of the New Patriotic Party for forcibly entering the Doboloto booth and threatening to take over the revenue collection operation.
The Amasaman Divisional Command has arrested Mr. Kwame Ofusweje, the New Patriotic Party Amasaman constituency chairman, for forcibly entering the Dobolo toll booth and threatening to take over the revenue collection operation, and in the process assaulted a police officer who was then on duty.
So that's basically a summary of the alleged takeovers and updates on that as well, and what the police is doing about it. We're live at the police headquarters and we'll bring you what they're saying. There is a press conference scheduled to start any moment from now. We'll go over there, but we can now hear from Dr. Akwete on this particular matter.
MPP has to do a lot more, but also as citizens, we all have to speak against it. The chiefs, the imams, the priests, everybody must condemn this. The media must. They should feel isolated and not endorsed. Okay, that is one. 2, I think our democracy will do very well, including transitions and all that. The day the police begins or feels they are in charge of law and order, and they believe they can take it up and execute it the way they should.
Yes, and I must say that throughout all this period that we've been having these reports about, we've not heard anything from the police, even though they appear visible at this particular areas. Like the passport office on Monday, we saw the police around, they beefed up security on Tuesday, but we don't know how many arrests have been made so far, what is going to happen.
See, that is the problem. The police weakness in enforcing the law, in making us all realize that criminal offenses are taken seriously. If you take over state property and you are not mandated, authorized to do that, it is tantamount to theft. You know, something of that nature, and they would enforce the law. You'll be arrested without interference. The politics, the winner takes all politics we've lived with for a long time. Degenerates. okay, it does not appreciate the value of democratic culture. It degenerates into, because we are fighting for resources that in any case is being stolen, okay, and is being used for other purposes. And therefore, getting the police to act is important. They have a whole lot of issues to look at their relationship with politicians. On what can they act, on what can they not act? When do they need clearance from the Attorney General to be able to prosecute people they arrest? When do they feel bolstered and have no fear of what political leaders will do to them individually, whether they are going to be transferred to Armageddon or something, you know? So the political relationship, the relationship between the politicians and the public servants in the institutions, we're beginning to see how badly they've become over the years when political control, has been used to undermine the autonomy and sense of security, such that they themselves play politics for their own safety. It's no excuse, because once you've been appointed and you are in charge, the IGP, do your work. So die a little for Ghana and do the right thing. If many of the right things would be done, it would also change the conflict. The fear that something would happen and the instability felt within the institutions are not very helpful. So let us see how best we can also raise our voices. The pressure on the police to act is important, but most importantly, the president should speak. Okay, he said it in his inaugural address that you shouldn't do this, but probably repeating it helps. Maybe many of the supporters
he needs to speak about this now?
We are people who, yes, he's in an extraordinary situation. He's the president. We know his history, and everybody has opened up to him. Everybody says this is a new beginning or a significant change. How we feel and how the ideas, how do we engage to make sure that Ghana will become a better place under him. Okay, and therefore he carries a certain authority now, inspirationally, morally, and so on, apart from being the president with enormous powers. And I think a clear language that says this is not tolerable, but the police must take action would get the police.
And we don't see that action coming on.
No, but he needs to do that. He needs to say it. Party leaders at the various levels have to act. They can stop their people, they know. Otherwise, those who feel they can challenge the authority, I mean, the president is not behaving that way. So what makes them behave, those militants in the regions and the districts, do that? I think saying, look, this is not acceptable. It is impunity. They signed the Accra Declaration. They signed against impunity. Okay, violence and impunity. So I think it's important for a political statement or an address by the president. If he does that and tells them the police, if you commit an offense, the police will pick you up and will not stand by you.
All right, that is Dr. Akwete there speaking his mind about what's happening, looking at the spate of attacks on state institutions and what the police is doing, must do, and what the president, he believes, must do as well. Well, it happened before and was expected to happen again following a change in government. Today, President Akufo-Addo has begun the clear out of government departments and agencies. Now, first to be hit is Dr. Stephen Opuni, who is CEO of the Cocoa Board. And this afternoon, there was a press release from the Secretary to the President, Nana Asante Bediatu, asking Dr. Stephen Opuni to pack out of the organization. At this moment, we may have to go over to the police headquarters, where the police's press conference is just about happening right now.
I, on behalf of the police administration, wish you a happy new year and a prosperous one as that. May the new year bring us hope, prosperity, and save Ghana. In the first place, I wish to commend you, the media, for your support and partnership with the police. Peaceful elections this country has ever conducted. The police equally commends all stakeholders who played a part in diverse ways in this enterprise. Unfortunately, some events and activities that attended the declaration of the election results and the inauguration of the president have left a sour taste in the mouths of all well-meaning persons of the country. Some of these are: 1, attacks on party opponents in some parts of the country. 2, attacks and vandalization of state and private properties. 3, seizures and or takeovers of the running of state institutions and facilities. These unfortunate and illegal actions by some members of our society have been categorized into 2 broad parts, namely 1, post-declaration and post-inauguration. Distinguished members of the media, we are all fully aware of the acts of vandalism of state properties and attacks on party opponents that have been carried out or that were carried out by some persons in the aftermath of the declaration of the 2016 general election results. There were calls on the police by all manner of persons, by our countrymen and women, to deal with the situation and bring perpetrators to book. Sorry. The police accepted the challenge as a matter of our mandate and continued to provide protection for lives and property. In almost all situations of vandalism and attack, the culprits managed to escape arrest. However, police came in to assure the public that every effort would be made to bring the people behind those dastardly acts to book. I wish to inform you, the general public, today that a number of arrests were made in connection with these disturbances across the country. The breakdown is as follows. In Brong Ahafo, there were some attacks on party opponents, burning down of Fiapre toll booths and other incidents. In those incidents, the police arrested Mark Tete, who was an assemblyman, Amos Asare, and Bismarck Befi. 2 of them were in connection with the arson, the burning down of the toll booth, and 1 was in connection with attack of party opponent. These persons were processed and put before court and have been granted a court bail, and the case is pending in court. Central Region, Isaac Issa, Richmond Baini, and Mark Akolgo, they were involved in a case of assault, also politically related, assault and counter-assault. They were arrested and they were also put before court. There's also a case of Al-Hassan Agamati Atta, whose incident is about an attack on also a party opponent at Dunkaonofin, where eventually one Ayuba Akapu lost his life. Accra region. There is also a case of Daniel Ashiti in Accra region, and he was involved in invasion of the MP, the former MP's house, and damage to some property in the house. While some of these cases were processed for court, others are still under investigation. In the case of Isaac Issa, Richmond Baini, and Malik Akologo, who were involved in attacks and reprisal attacks in Chifupraso, they and their accomplices, namely Honorable Bosman Osei Heyman, DC, Honorable Ato Amua, former MP, Abu, Razak Amua, Sarah Amua, Kweku Adai, Daniel Ousu, and Honorable Ebenezer Odro were all put before court. Our information is that the Chifuhiman Traditional Council requested for the withdrawal of the case for settlement at home, and it was granted. Reports have it that the council sat on the case for the first time on this past Wednesday, 11th January 2017. Daniel Ashite's case, that is the Accra one, is also still pending in Lekma Court, Accra. Post-inauguration incidents. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, after the swearing in of the new president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, another round of disturbances ensued across the country, where alleged party adherents invaded some state institutions, including Passport Office, Tema Harbor, and other facilities such as toll booths and toilets to take over their management. In all these situations, the police has acted in accordance with its mandate of maintaining law and order in the country at all times. The police has deployed various strategies to contain the situation. These include deployment of personnel to protect some state institutions and vital installations, intelligence gathering, and prompt response to emergency situations. In most cases, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, where the police were called to respond to the activities of criminal elements, they flee before the police arrives. However, the police will continue to conduct investigation and search for perpetrators until they are also brought to book. Now, the following are the arrests made in respect of post-inauguration incidents. So while we have some of the perpetrators, or I call them criminals, fleeing arrests because they sense the arrival of the police, after they have absconded, we have been able to conduct painstaking investigation and been able to bring some of them to book. Number one, seizure of Tiomodom toll booth. Police have arrested Kennedy Amo, 45 years. I take that again. Seizure of Tiomodom toll booth. Police have arrested Kennedy Amo, 45 years, and Nana Yao, 36 years, and they have been charged. In fact, they were taken to court today, but the court was not sitting, so the case has been adjourned, or they are reappearing in court on Tuesday, 17th January 2017. Attack on some NDC supporters who were organizing a function. Police have arrested Cosmos MP, 33 years. Joseph Yeboah, 35 years, who are being processed for court. The arrest was made only today. Meanwhile, efforts are underway to trace their accomplices. And the accomplices are Kwabena Jemfi, Payao, Kwame Appiah, Gabi, and Gordon Tete. They are said to have interrupted, invaded, and damaged some electrical equipment, including mixers, amplifiers, and other electrical gadgets, which the supporters of the NDC were using for some functions. Number 3, seizure of proceeds of AMA revenue collectors at CMB and Makola Market. This incident was put in public domain by the Accra Regional Police Command yesterday. The police have arrested 1, Musa Muhib, 25 years, Isaac Suleimana, 32 years, Mohammed or Abdullahi Mohammed, 41 years, Adam Mahama, 39 years, Suleimana Isaku, 32 years. The said suspects, until a while ago, were in police custody. But presently, they are being found courts to handle their case. Allocation is being done, so they are on court bail. They are on bail. Attempted takeover at Dobroto by Amasaman constituency chairman of the NPP, Mr. Kwame Ofosu-Adjei. The culprit has been arrested and granted bail, pending further action. Incident of takeover of toilet facility at Mamobi on 11 January 2017. The police have arrested 3 persons who are currently on bail, pending further investigation and the necessary action. In all cases where perpetrators are at large, the police shall continue to pursue them until they are arrested to face the law. The police has presently deployed personnel once again to vital state installations and some state institutions which are targets of these attacks, and invasions to protect them. Furthermore, the service has intensified its patrol and intelligence to ensure maximum security for all lives and properties. Moreover, the action units are also standing by to respond to any emergency situation to prevent or stop any act of criminality. Ladies and gentlemen, the police administration wishes to assure all members of the public that every effort is being made to maintain law and order in the country without any fear or favor, and that all persons who have been involved in any act of criminality related to the election or otherwise will be dealt with according to the law. All such acts will be considered purely on the basis of they being criminal acts and not acts perpetrated by political functionaries. Crimes do not have political colors, so any such act perpetrated in political garb will be stripped naked of its political apparel and dealt with as crime. Police will continue to intensify its proactive and reactive operational strategies to ensure peace and serenity in the country. All stakeholders are therefore invited to come on board to help achieve this objective, this noble objective. The public is also entreated to support the police by volunteering information to enable us to fight this canker together. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. The end. Yeah, I see.
Okay. My name is David Quino. I report for WBL in London. First of all, this began long ago, 2001, 2009, and also 2017. You and I are aware anytime there is a government takeover or a new government, we experience some of these things. Can you tell us why our security agencies tell government to Ghana to end this, which is really cost the nation a lot?
That is what's happening right this moment at the police headquarters. It's a police press conference that was addressed by ASP Saif Asata, who speaks for the police command here in Ghana. And what he's basically talking about is giving us a catalogue of what has happened in terms of the attacks and the reprisal attacks and what the police has done about it. He starts from the BA, where he says there were attacks on opponents, basically talking about the NDC, and he says there were attacks also on the Fiapre toll booth, which, if you recall, was one of the first incidents that we recorded. He says 3 persons have been arrested: Maktete, who is Assemblyman, Amos Asari, Bismarck Befi, but these 3 persons have been granted bail. In the central region, we're talking about Chifo Praso. He says Isaac Issa, Richmond Baini, and Malika Kologo. These persons were involved in assault and counter assault. That case is before court. There are some other people involved in this case. Osei Heyman, Atu Amwa, Sarah Amwa, Kweku Adai, Daniel Owusu. But what he says, by the way, is that the Chifo Heyman Traditional Council has requested that this issue be settled at home, and the police has granted them that ability to do so, and so that issue is being handled. He said they sat on that case yesterday. Daniel Ashite, damaged former member of Parliament's House here in Accra. We also know that. Okay, we can go over to the police headquarters right now. It seems he's speaking once again to hear him.
And also, you said they commit the crime before the police even get to the scene. I think this time the police should be proactive. You should be expecting some of these things and assign your men.
In fact, there are many more of such crimes that were prevented, that were nipped in the bud. Let me mention the Asokwa issue. And the Asokwa issue where there was an attempted takeover of a toilet facility. But because of the intelligence that the police had on the ground, we were there early enough to prevent them. Then Asokore Mampong, thank you very much. Asokore Mampong too, we had some people who had plotted to lock up the Asokore Mampong District Assembly offices. Police, once again, as a result of the intelligence that we had on the ground, managed to pick information early, move in to foil the attempt. So there have been a lot of attempts, a lot of plots that have also been foiled. But you and I know that irrespective of the security, I mean the stringent nature of security that we put in place, there's no way any police force the world over can prevent crime. Some crimes will occur, and when they occur, they must be dealt with the reactive measures that we have in place.
My name is Redwan. I work with GH1 TV. It looks like we are likely to see more of the arrests because I don't see an end in sight with regard to this very particular issue. I'm saying this because it looks like an amicable resolution lies within the police service and the 2 political parties coming together to arrive at a consensus, which hasn't been done. And so I would want to understand what has been the level of engagement between the police and the MPP and the NDC. Just the day before yesterday, we were at Old Fadama, and the NPP supporters said that when the NDC won the election in 2008, and they were driven out of the community, in fact, somebody was murdered, and up till now, they tell me that the murder case has not seen finality. And And so they think that this is the time for them to also, launch reprisal attacks to be able to get justice and also drive NDC members out of the community. But I believe if the parties are able to speak to their members, a permanent solution will be arrived at. So I want to know the level of engagement.
I can assure you that a lot of engagements are going on. A lot of dialogues, discussions are being held by the stakeholders. And this is yielding dividend. If yesterday you had a release from the police, we indicated that the IGP has charged his command.
The ongoing police press conference happening at the police headquarters here in Accra. Basically, let me just wrap up with what the arrests that have been made so far. The arrests have been made so far. Chobodom Toll Booth. In relation to Chobodom Toll Booth, they've arrested 2 persons who have been charged and have been processed for court. They are reappearing in court on the 17th of January. The attacks on an NDC function have 2 persons have been arrested. They were processed for court today. Their accomplices are being sought after. Kwabna Jemfi, Paya, or Kwame Tete. They are the accomplices. The persons who have been arrested so far are Cosmos Entry and Joseph Yeboah. In relation to process of the AMA, proceeds of the AMA at the Makola market, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 persons have been arrested. They are in police custody. Okay, they are on bail at the moment. And in relation to the Doblo Toll Booth, they have been, which was the constituency chairman in that area attempted to, attack that toll booth as well. He has been arrested. Mamobi Toilets, 3 persons have been arrested as well. He says, meanwhile, that the police have deployed men to targets of these attacks, and they've intensified their patrols in the country. They also have an action team that's standing by. They're meanwhile assuring the public that they're doing all that they should to protect all of us.